Right now, somewhere out there, a hiker is burning through their last fuel canister trying to stay warm, and they have absolutely no idea they're sleeping on the solution. It's sitting right beneath their tent. It's been sitting there for 1 billion years. And it will outlast every piece of overpriced gear in their pack by a factor of about 10 million to 1. A rock. Not a special rock. Not a rock you have to order online. Not a rock with a proprietary patent and a $100 price tag. Just a rock. And by the time this video is done, you're going to understand exactly why that rock is one of the most sophisticated thermal management devices on the planet, and why the survival gear industry has worked very hard to make sure you never figure that out. The survival gear industry has spent decades convincing you that warmth requires combustion. They need you to believe that staying warm in a sleeping bag means buying chemical hand warmers, catalytic heaters, butane canisters, or their latest heated insert technology. That little heated pad that plugs into a USB battery bank and costs you a clean $120. They've built an entire ecosystem of dependency around the idea that heat is something you purchase, something you carry, something that runs out. That's a beautiful business model. It just isn't physics. The truth is that heat is energy, and energy can be stored, transferred, and slowly released by materials that have been doing exactly that since before vertebrates existed. Dense stone is one of the most effective passive thermal batteries on Earth, and every cold weather survival situation you'll ever face is one that a properly heated rock can help manage, for free, for as long as you have a fire or a stove, for the entirety of a winter night. Here's what those gear companies don't want you thinking about. Specific heat capacity. That's the scientific measurement of how much energy a material can absorb and hold per unit of mass, per degree of temperature change. The unit is joules per kilogram per Kelvin, and it's the fundamental number that determines whether something makes a good thermal battery or a terrible one. Air has a specific heat capacity of about 1.005 joules per gram per Kelvin. That's pathetically low. That's why a warm tent cools down in minutes when you open the door. That's why the air in your sleeping bag, the stuff most people think is doing the actual warming, is barely contributing anything. It holds almost no heat. It's a thermal phantom. There 1 second, gone the next. Dense silicate rock, granite, soapstone, quartzite, fieldstone, has a specific heat capacity of roughly 0.79 to 0.98 joules per gram per Kelvin. That sounds lower than air, doesn't it? Here's where your brain has to make a crucial shift. Specific heat capacity is per gram. Rock is dense, extraordinarily dense. A 1 kilogram stone, about 2 pounds, something that fits in both hands, contains roughly 800 times more mass than the same volume of air. When you run the actual math on total heat storage capacity by volume, dense stone stores somewhere between 1,600 and 2,000 times more thermal energy than the same volume of air at the same temperature differential. 2,000 times. That's not a rounding error. That's a completely different class of thermal performance. Now let's add the second physics layer, emissivity and radiant heat transfer. When you heat a stone to around 150 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit, which is achievable in 25 to 40 minutes over a campfire or camp stove, it begins radiating infrared energy. The Stefan Boltzmann law tells us that radiant energy output scales with the fourth power of temperature in Kelvin. What that means in practical terms is that a moderately warm stone doesn't just stay warm. It actively broadcasts that warmth outward at a rate governed by its surface temperature. When that stone is tucked inside your sleeping bag, it's radiating directly toward your body. Your sleeping bag insulation, whether down or synthetic, is trapping that radiant output inside the thermal envelope around you. You're not just benefiting from conductive heat, the direct contact warmth when the wrapped stone touches you. You're benefiting from a radiant field filling the interior air volume of your bag and slow releasing over the course of 6 to 8 hours. This is why you wake up warm. Not because the stone is still scalding, because it's been releasing stored BTUs all night at a rate your sleeping bag's insulation was specifically designed to trap and hold. Let's talk about what this actually costs you when you do it the retail way. A pack of 10 HeatMax hand warmers at a major outdoor retailer runs you about $12 to $15. Each one generates approximately 7,000 BTUs of heat over 8 hours. That's the manufacturer's optimistic number. Real-world performance is closer to 5,500 BTUs. in cold ambient conditions because the oxidation reaction slows down at low temperatures. They're single use. You burn through them, you throw them away, you buy more. Across a week-long winter camping trip, a serious cold weather camper might burn through 20 to 30 hand warmers just for sleeping. That's $30 to $45 of disposable chemistry. The heated sleeping bag insert systems run anywhere from $80 on the budget end to $220 for the brands that sponsor outdoor influencers. They require a charged battery pack, they add weight, they fail when the connector corrodes, and they heat unevenly. Too hot near the element, cold 2 feet away from it. A 1 kilogram piece of soapstone from a landscape supply yard costs between $4 and $8. You will use it every single night for the rest of your life. It will not corrode. It will not run out of charge. It will not require proprietary replacement packets. The total heat output from that stone across a properly executed heating cycle will be approximately 28,000 to 35,000 BTUs. Conservatively 4 times the per-use performance of a standard chemical hand warmer, at a total lifetime cost that is functionally zero after purchase. You need a dense, non-porous stone, and I'm going to tell you exactly how to find one, heat one, and use one without cracking it, burning yourself, or wasting any of its stored energy. First, material selection. You want igneous or metamorphic rock, granite, soapstone, quartzite, schist, or dense sandstone. What you absolutely do not want is sedimentary rock with visible porous structure, river rock that has spent extended time in water, or any stone with visible cracks or layered fractures. Water trapped inside rock pores expands when heated. Rapidly expanding water in a confined pore structure causes explosive spalling. The stone fractures violently and throws fragments. This is not a minor inconvenience. This is a projectile hazard. Dry, dense, non-porous, igneous rock is your target. A good field test. Strike 2 candidate stones together sharply. Dense quality stone rings with a clear metallic sound. Porous or compromised stone gives a dull thud. The ring tells you the internal structure is intact and the thermal cycling will be safe. Heating process. Place your selected stone in or around your campfire, not in direct contact with the highest heat zones of a wood fire. Keep it at the periphery where temperatures are in the 300 to 500 degree Fahrenheit range, rather than the 1000 plus degree combustion zone. If you're using a camp stove, a small backpacking stove with a pot of water works well. Bring the water to a boil, place the stone in the pot, and let it absorb heat from the water for 20 to 30 minutes. This is actually a more controlled and safer method than open flame because water caps the maximum temperature at 212 degrees Fahrenheit at sea level, preventing any risk of thermal shock from uneven heating. The boiling water method is what military winter survival manuals have favored for field-expedient bed warming for over a century. After heating, wrap the stone in at least 2 layers of wool or synthetic insulation. A wool sock works, a folded fleece works, a section of wool blanket works. Do not use cotton. Cotton is a thermal disaster. It compresses under contact, loses its insulation value almost instantly, and will allow conductive burn if your skin contacts the stone through a single thin layer. The wrap serves a dual purpose. It protects your skin from direct contact burns in the first hour when the stone is at peak temperature, and it slows the release rate, extending your thermal output window from 4 hours to 7 or 8. Placement physics. You have 2 strategic options, and the right choice depends on your specific cold scenario. Option 1. Foot placement. Place the wrapped stone at the foot of your sleeping bag before you get in and let it preheat the interior air volume for 10 to 15 minutes. Your feet contain high concentrations of the peripheral blood vessels most vulnerable to cold-induced vasoconstriction. Warming your feet actively promotes vasodilation, which drives warmer blood back toward your core. Your core then warms, your overall perceived warmth increases, and you fall asleep faster and sleep more comfortably. Option 2. Core mass placement. Position the wrapped stone against your lower back or tucked against your abdominal region. This maximizes the radiant exposure to your core body mass, where your vital organs generate and need to maintain the highest temperatures. For extreme cold conditions, below 10 degrees Fahrenheit, this is the more physiologically effective placement. For moderate cold, foot placement wins on comfort. For a genuinely dangerous cold emergency, wet gear, inadequate bag rating, unexpected temperature drop, core placement combined with a secondary stone at the feet, if you can heat two, is your maximum performance configuration. This isn't some campfire folk wisdom passed down by people who didn't understand what they were doing. Military forces have used thermal mass sleeping inserts since the Napoleonic campaigns, where soldiers documented placing heated river stones in their bedrolls to survive Russian winter bivouacs. The British Army's Winter Warfare Manual from 1944 specifically documented the stone heating technique as a field-expedient thermal supplement when fuel supplies were exhausted. Modern wilderness survival instructors who conduct controlled thermal testing have documented stone-wrapped heating performance delivering measurable warmth, verified with thermal probes, for between 6 and 9 hours after a standard 40-minute heating cycle. That's a 6 to 9 hour heat source, at $4. One time. Compare that to a USB heated sleeping pad insert that delivers 4 hours on a fully charged battery, requires you to carry the battery weight, costs $110 at minimum, and becomes useless if the battery dies, the connector corrodes, or you forget to charge it. The stone doesn't forget. The stone doesn't corrode. The stone doesn't have firmware that needs updating. There's a deeper lesson buried in this, and it's worth naming directly before we seek out. Lose. The survival gear industry, and the broader outdoor equipment industry, profits from your ignorance of physics. Not maliciously, not through some coordinated conspiracy, but through the simple economic reality that teaching you to understand thermodynamics destroys their market. If you know that a 2-pound piece of granite stores more usable heat energy than a $40 pack of chemical warmers, you don't buy the chemical warmers. If you understand specific heat capacity, you stop purchasing solutions to problems that physics already solved for free. The knowledge gap is the product. And the most dangerous thing you can do to that business model, the most genuinely empowering thing you can do for your own survival capability, is to close the gap. You now understand something that most people wandering into an outdoor gear store will never grasp, that the earth is covered in thermal batteries, and none of them require batteries. The stone has been warm before. It knows how to be warm again. You just have to ask it the right way. Next time, we're going to talk about the other side of this equation. The material that's inside almost every survival situation that actively accelerates heat loss in ways that most people never identify until it's already too late. It's something you're almost certainly carrying right now. And understanding why it's killing your thermal performance might be the single most important upgrade you make to your cold weather kit.